Good evening, StreamYard and YouTube fans. We are here for Heat 2 of the Demo Derby or Carnage Battle. Our drivers today for Team 2, Keith White. He will be driving as Raul. He's got plus 2 X's and an O. G-Puck is driving as Rudy, and he's got a plus X and an O. Sean will be driving as Danny, and he will get a strategy card, which I've not used before. Delons will be driving as Stone, and he gets an XX and a question mark. And a question mark means he will lose an internal, one of these internal strategies, one of these drives basically, or name of traits type thing, like Nick of Time, Star, Plower, that type thing. For Team Non, you have Phantomatic, and he will be driving as J, and that's 3 X's and a question mark. Hammer Time will be driving as Carmen, and he will have the triple A on a skid strategy. Danny and Gray will be driving as Ronnie, and he will have an XO and an exclamation, which means his opponent will lose a strategy or a trait. And Harris Jessup will be driving as Gober, and he will get 2 X's and an O. Okay. And Keith will be rolling first, and I will switch things over. Right, so Keith will be rolling first, and he will use his bonus to start things off. Oh, I have to re-roll already. Two five is a skid. Remember, all drivers are C drivers. And that is a 6. And that is an unusual result. Three, 4. Oh, Varoom. Smash 4 X's to the person with the most damage. Nobody has the most amount of damage. Plus, he's using his XO, so he will lose 1 damage on himself. And G-Puck won't get the damage. Harris Jessup won't get the damage. So right out of the gate, Sean is straddled with 6 damage. And we go to G-Puck. And that will be a 5-4. And he is Rudy. And that will be an X and then 2O. And it will be to a person with the least amount of damage. So he gets 2-0. He damages himself twice. And Harris Jessup will get 1x. And that means Harris Jessup is up 5-3. Harris Jessup is goober. And that will be no damage for Harris. Sean rolls 5-5. And that will be a skid result. And that will be an unusual result. And that will be a 6-4. Black flag. Driver disqualified for sandbagging. Violation of 2-minute rule. So, Sean is disqualified for sandbagging. So, on his first turn, Sean disqualifies himself. Wow. Bye-bye, Sean. Okay. And that takes us to D-Lons. He is stone. 26. And that will be a car result. That car result is 2. And he has no damage, so he will give 1 damage to someone. Will it be Phantomatic? No. Hammer time? Yes. 1 damage to Hammer time. Right. And we go to Phantomatic. It's Jay. He gets a 6-1. That is a 0. That goes to himself, and he loses a trait. And he loses the number 4 double smash trait. Okay. And that takes us to hammer time. Two, 6. That will be a car. That will be 2. He has 1 damage, so he will give an X to somebody. And that will be given to Danny and Gray. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. That'll be given to D-Lons. And that means Danny and Gray will be our next roll. 6-5. He is Ronnie. That will be a skid. That will be a 2, and nothing will happen. And we roll. We finish with turn 1. And we change up our drivers here. Danny and Gray, Keith White, D-Lons, G-Puck, Hammer Time, and Phantomatic. Okay. Danny and Gray rolls. And that'll be a 6-3 on Ronnie. That's 2 X's to the one with the most amount of damage. And that won't be Keith White. That'll go to D-Lons. 2 X's to D-Lons. Right? We go to Keith White. It's a 5-4 on Raul. And that will be an X and 2 exclamation points and 2. And it's to the person with the least, and that's Danny and Gray anyway. So Danny gets an X. He loses 2 ability. He'll lose a 2 and a 3. Here's Ronnie. He loses the 2 and the 3. And Keith White also will lose an ability. And that will be on the 3 trait. So he will lose the Orangutanger. Okay. Comes to Harris Jessup. He rolls. 4-5. That will be a skid. And he's C. Oh, and that will be a stall. That means that Harris Jessup will have to hope that he restarts his engine. Otherwise, he will be out of the race. That takes us to D-Lons. 2-6. And that will be a car result. And he has 3 damage. And he will give 1 damage to, and that'll be to Danny and Gray. Okay. And that takes us to G-Puck. That will be 4-4. And that will be an X, and an exclamation, and a question mark. So, and that goes to the one with the least amount of damage. They both have the same amount of damage, so that will go to Phantomatic. And let's see here. Phantomatic will lose the number 6 trait. And And G-Puck will lose a trait. And let's see what G-Puck loses. G-Puck loses the 1 trait. So Rudy will lose his tail gunner trait. And that takes us to Hammer Time, who's Carmen. God. Okay, he can only use and it's Jay's turn. The end of round 2 here, and he can only use 1, 2, and 3, and 5 is unusable. So we reshuffle at the end of turn 2. So we're rolling for 3 here. Turn 3. Keith White, Danny and Gray, Hammer Time, Phantomatic, D-Lons, G-Puck. All right, Keith White. 4, 3, and that will be no damage to Keith. Danny and Gray. 2, 2, and he is Ronnie, and that's nothing for Ronnie. Can we get Harris Jessup to restart here? Because if he can't, he will be out. And he does restart. Five, 3. And that will be no damage for Harris. Which means Hammer Time's turn. 6, 3. And he's Carmen. And that means 2 X's to Danny and Gray. And 1 to Hammer Time. And that takes us to Phantomatic. 4, 3. Jay, and that's nothing for Jay because the whole bottom card is gone. D-Lons, 2, 3. And that will be 2 self-inflicted on himself. And he will lose a trait. And he loses the number 4. He loses the number 4 trait. And that will be the rollback maneuver. Okay. And that takes us to G-Puck. 6, 2, and he's Rudy. And he gets no damage. Wow. So 3 people on this roll had no damage. Okay. And we go with Keith White as Raoul. 4-4. And that will be an X to the person with the least amount of damage. And that would be Hammer Time. Okay, Hammer Time's turn. 6-2. He's Carmen. And that's an X with 2 exclamations to the person with the most. That will be Danny and Gray. Okay. And he will lose 2 traits. And that's 2 3s, which takes Danny and Gray out because you can't have 3 damages on 1 trait. And that's exactly what happened there. And he is so that will be by Hammer Time. Seven. And that will be Hammer Time. That's our first knockout of the tournament there. Okay. Harris Jessup. 5-5. And that will be a car. 2. And he's got 1 damage. So he will give Hammer Time an X. Okay. That takes us to Phantomatic. It'll be a 4-6. And Jay doesn't have any 4 available, so that will take us to D-Lons. 2-3. And that will be 2. That would be 2 circles to himself, so D-Lons is out. Self-inflicted damage. Okay. And that takes us to G-Puck. 5-3. Rudy. That's 2 X's. That'll be 2 X's to Phantomatic. That puts him at 5. And we will roll, and we will reshuffle. And we'll have a column of 3 and a column of 2. Okay, we got G-Puck, Keith, got Harris, we got Hammer Time, We got Phantomatic and G-Puck. It's Rudy. That's 5. 5. That will be a skid. And that will be 6, which will be an unusual result. And that is a 4-6. Rollover. Car ends upright, still running, and he gets 1 self-damage. Wow. Takes us to Keith White. 4-3, and he's Raul. And that means no damage for him. I think that means that if he does not roll again, because I think that's his second time, if he doesn't roll the next time, he's disqualified. 2-2 for Goober. And that is no damage for him. Hammer time. 5-6. And that will be a car. And let's see, he's got 4. And that's a 1. He will give damage to Phantomatic. And that will give him 6. 1 more for Phantomatic, and Phantomatic will be out. Phantomatic's turn. 5-3. And there's no 5 for Jay. Hammer time. Okay. Hammer time here. So he can't hit anybody in this column. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it like this. We're going to do it like that. Okay. So hammer time. 6-3. And that's Carmen. And that would be 2 X's and an O. So he will get 1 self-damage. And hammer time will be out of the race. I mean, Phantomatic will be out of the race. That's hammer time. Okay. And Harris Jessup. That was 3-5. Goober 3-5. And that will be a skid. 2 on the skid chart. Nothing happens there. Okay, that takes us to Keith White, and he's Raul. And that's a 3, so nothing will happen there. Takes us to G-Puck. 2-4, and he's Rudy. And that will be an X. Keith White will get a damage. And he will lose another ability. G-Puck will, and that's another 1. 1 more on the 1, and G-Puck will be gone. And we will reshuffle here. Hammer time. Keith, Harris, and G-Puck. And 1-1 for Carmen. That's an X and an O, so he will get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He will damage himself to the 6 point. And he will get an X, and that will go to Keith White. And that takes us to Keith. If he gets a no damage, he's out of the race. And that is 3-4 on Raul's card, and that's nothing there. Harris Jessup rolls. 5-5. Goober, that will be a skid. And that will be a self-inflicted damage to Harris Jessup. Takes us to G-Puck. And that will be a 6-2. He's Rudy, 6-2, and that's no damage for G-Puck. So, takes us to hammer time. Jeez. Okay, takes hammer time. He's Carmen, that's 5-2. And that would be no damage for hammer time. Keith's turn. 5-4, and he's Raul. And that will be an exclamation point, an X to Harris Jessup. And he will lose two traits, a 5 and a 4. And and he will lose, Raul will lose 2 traits. And that will be a 1 and a 6. Okay. And that takes us to hammer time's turn. 4-6, and he is Carmen. That's a card thing, and that will be a 3 on the car, and he stalls. Carmen will stall. Hammer time stalls. Keith. Raul is 1-4, and he doesn't have that trait. Harris Jessup, 1-2, and that will be no damage. And that will be G-Puck's turn. 5-2, Rudy. And that'll be 2X and a 0. He will get 1 damage to himself. And that will take hammer time out. Hammer Time is out. 4th. G-Puck. And that leaves us with, hey, good to see you guys. I'm nearing the end of my second heat. Oh, good. New test fighters. Oh, that's good. Let's see here. Hammer Time just got knocked out by G-Puck. So we're Kevin White is our first roller here. Four, 6, and he's Raul. 4, 6. That's a car, and that is 4 on the car chart. And he's got 3 damage. Three damage. 4, and that will be a stall for Keith there. All right. Goober's turn there. And Harris's turn. 3-1. And that will be to the one with the most, which will be G-Puck. Wait a minute. Yeah, that would be G-Puck. That's an X. And an exclamation point also to Rudy. Let's see, if he rolls a 1, G-Puck is out, and he does. Wow, G-Puck is out of this competition by Harris Jessup. And that leaves us with Harris Jessup and Keith White. And if Keith doesn't roll that this turn, he's automatically out, which means Harris will be our winner here. And as you can see, he didn't. So Keith White is out, and Harris Jessup is our winner for Heat 2. Yes, so for Heat 2, Harris Jessup wins. And I have to say it, on this race, there were a lot of self-inflicted penalties on this. 2 of them were due to stalls, and 1 of them was due to a rare event. Sean was caught for sandbagging, so as a result, he was disqualified, and he was the first person out of this race. I will tally up the points for the team points and the individual points, and I will come back and let you know who has what kind of points. So, but for today, Harris Jessup came in first, and Keith White, even though he self-inflicted him damage, he came in second. So I will be back shortly.